Hey everybody, on today's episode, Chris and I are talking all about systems, processes, and most importantly, how to set them up for your contracting business. Check it out. Hey everyone, welcome back to Contractor Growth Network. I'm Logan.
And I'm Chris Livingston.
And today we're talking all about what is super pertinent to everybody, especially when this podcast comes out, which is busy season. Chris has no idea what we're talking about.
I thought we were talking about lumber or talk about like hiring, employees.
What we're talking about is essentially what happens when the busy season hits us.
Okay.
So let's just talk about the normal contractor cycle throughout the year. Most people are some people are not seasonal.
Yeah.
But I would say for especially the people that are listening to this, even if you work inside, you still have seasons with it because people don't want you in their home really during the holidays when they're away on vacation. Some people love to have you in their home. Others don't want it because there's a lack of trust.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about today is, as of the time of this recording, this is like the year we talked about it last time on of revenge buying.
Yeah.
Where all these different things that people couldn't buy last year, add that to people still not really going on vacations as much. And it's like they're doing so much to their home that everybody's lead time is so far out that I had a guy I was talking to the other day and he said he's got a several week waiting period just for estimates.
Yeah. And realistically, it's the roaring 20s, right? So it's people are super excited to figure something out as far as remodeling, getting time outside. I mean, I'm imagining, not related, I'm imagining breweries and bars are going to be booming, at the time of this recording, whenever, stuff goes out.
So what is happening, and I talked to Dan Sherwood about this. So Dan is a client of ours, painting contractor, really good at just a good business soundboard. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And I think, well, I don't mean to cut you off, but he's very much business related versus it just being like a painter.
Do you know he doesn't even paint?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. He's like, yeah, I mean,
he doesn't know. I think he technically knows how to paint.
Yeah, I think physically he would know how to, but I think that he's kind of been out of it for so long that it doesn't interest him at all.
Yeah. So with him, he's also coaching the 100K. And I was talking to him yesterday and I was like, what is going on right now? Because we see it from our side, but I was like, Dan, from your perspective, what's happening during this busy season? And he said, what is happening is all of these lack of systems, lack of processes, lack of keeping your, company organized. When you throw all this desire at people, meaning homeowners are calling them up. Hey, I want to hire you for this. Hey, can you give us an estimate on that? When you add that fuel to the fire, all of these issues that contractors are dealing with it's all surfacing right now. Yeah. And it's essentially it's pouring salt into the wound of hey, you don't have your systems together? Great. I'm going to throw 10 more leads at you right now. Deal with it.
I'm hearing pretty much the same thing in the sense of you got that car that's, put together, with BS screws or, duct tape, whatever, and you start to go a little faster, start to put some energy on behind, the wheel, and then all of a sudden now the thing's falling apart. So you're able to see all the different gaps, all the holes, and then you're just trying your best to tread water and figure it out as you go.
And the worst part is it's, you're so overwhelmed right now that even during the slow season, instead of going, okay, great, it's slow. Let me actually map this stuff out. Let me think about this stuff. Let me figure it out. During the slow season, what do most people do?
I guess relaxing, just being able to be happy they're not having to go through that rat race right now. And I don't think that it's enough, squirreling away of nuts and getting systems in place. It's more along the lines of, okay, things are gonna be better. Just you have a short-term memory because you probably just forget that you just went through this crap again last year, and it was absolute hell. And you're like, oh, never again. And then all of a sudden, it's next year and there's no change. So it's the exact same thing. It's insanity.
And so what we're talking about today is actually identifying systems and processes, because I think that's one of the biggest issues. And that's with Tom Reber's 100K program. He just hired a systems and process coach, right? And what I recognize is that every single one of the coaches in that group, which I'm one of them, we all have our own system and process that we're trying to help contractors out with. But he actually just hired somebody who's legit, their job is systems and processes.
Yeah.
And I see, I put a post out last night in his Facebook group, and it just said scale of 0 to 10, be honest. How much do you actually love your business? Not trade, not industry, but your actual business. Had a lot of 10s, which is good amount of 9s, but I had a lot of 3s, 5s, 1s. And for all those people that had those lower numbers, the discrepancies, I would always ask man, that sucks that you're at a 5. Like, what's going on? And the answer was always like, I need to get my like one guy said, like, I need to get my systems and processes down. And I said, awesome that you identified that. What specific system or process do you need to get down first? And then I said, under that, I'm asking because most contractors are, especially in small business owners, this is not just contractor specific, but you're on a Contractor Growth Network podcast featuring Logan and Chris James Livingston. So we're going to talk about contractors.
100%.
And that's Aaron's favorite topic too. So with that, I was like, and the reason I'm asking, and I actually commented this, I said, the reason I'm asking is because most people are way too vague on this and they don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
And he responded and he said, I got you. Realistically, I want to work on my business instead of working in my business.
And gave you the most vague answer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So I said, that's still like, that's too vague. Give me an exact system or process. And he didn't respond.
That's legit a buzz phrase. Everybody says, I want to work, I want to work on my business, not in my business. Like, I think it's just, you just hear it so often. Okay, yeah, I think it makes sense. The bigger factor that also is playing into that is if you don't make those, it's like the idea of SMART goals.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not specific, if it's not measurable, then how are you going to be able to know that if it's actually working for you?
Give us, like, let's walk through that because that's a huge aspect of it. And then what we'll do is we'll circle back on identifying systems and processes. So you got SMART, which stands for specific, measurable. What's A?
I think it's AIM.
I think it's attainable.
Yep.
R?
Is it not repeatable? Is it
realistic?
Yeah, realistic.
And
then
T?
Timeline.
Time bound.
Yeah.
I think is the official thing. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound. So let's just go with let's just start the easiest thing. I think easiest analogy is always
sales.
I was gonna say weight loss, but sales works too.
Well, I mean, I think at the end of the day that I think weight's really easy just because we all can align with it. But the reality is probably maybe more value if we go ahead and just talk about sales.
Well, I was gonna do both.
Let's do both.
Okay. I appreciate that. So let me give you a non-SMART goal when it comes to weight loss. Chris, I want to lose weight.
All right. How much?
I just want to lose weight.
All right. Sounds great.
That and what's the reality around me actually losing weight?
You're not going to lose weight. And if you do, you're not going to hold it off because it's not going to be something that's, you're going to be able to attribute to certain things. You're not going to be able to have certain processes to keep the weight off. You're not going to be able to sustain this to happen long term. So it's just, I want to lose weight. All right. You know what? I lost, 0.3 pounds because I, went to the bathroom. Okay. Yeah. You lost weight. Great.
So the S is specific, meaning it's got to actually have like a number behind it. I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, great. So that's the S is specific. M is measurable. How are you going to measure it? Well, it's the scale, like by poundage, right?
Yep.
That's there. A is achievable.
Yeah.
Is it something that's like actually able to be, happen? Same with realistic. And then T is time bound. So if I said, Chris, I want to lose 10 pounds in 60 days, that hits everything.
Yep.
It's also, is it realistic for me? Yes, it is. Is it achievable? Yes, it is. Is it specific? Yes. Can I measure it? Yes. Is it time bound? Yes. So with a lot of contractors, like they'll say, I want to do $1 million this year.
And think about real quick, if it's not under all those, the SMART goal, what does it now become?
A wish.
A wish. And I think that's very important to recognize that if you have a goal, then you're actually looking to actually have that be achieved at some point in time. If it's not, then it's just a wish. And at that point, it's just, are we playing a game here?
It's a nice to have.
Yeah, we had Fairyland. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, and I think that's the issue with a lot of this stuff is, with contractor, they'll do like let's say I want to do $1 million this year. Okay, great. Let's go through that. So is that specific? Yes, it's $1 million this, is it time bound? Yes, it's this year. Is it measurable? Yes, it's a dollar amount. Now, is it achievable and realistic? That's all dependent on you. And that's where the systems and processes come in, where typically when somebody goes from, let's say, $500,000 to $1 million year over year, what got you to $500,000, you'll have the foundation there. But that's not going to get you to $1 million.
Yeah.
Right. What gets you from 300 pounds down to 250 pounds is not going to get you from 250 down to 200. Like you can't run a 10-minute mile and then go train and then 60 days go out and run an 8-minute mile and go, well, at this rate, I'll be running a 4-minute mile in 2 months.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't work like that. So the first big issue here is actually identifying what is a system, what is a process, because I think that's one of the problems is people don't know how to set them up when they don't even know what a system is, what a process is. And the way that I look at this stuff is this is very similar to your company culture in the sense of you have a system or a process, whether you know it and like it or not. You have one. It may suck and it may not be written down, but you have a process or a system for literally everything.
Yeah, it may be something a fly-by-night system, but by default, you always have a system.
Yep.
So it depends on if you are being deliberate. If you're being
That's a real word.
Thank you. If you're being deliberate in your process in your system, or if you're just allowing this to happen. If you have a situation where people are going through the same process every single time.
So say that. So you said, or you're just allowing this to happen. Let's talk about the reality of being proactive versus reactive, because I think with the system, that's a proactive thing, and I think a lack of a system is more of a let's react to stuff.
Yeah, I mean, also while we're talking about the whole idea of being proactive and reactive, it's very much along the lines of I will do it when, right? I'll go forward with a EPP system when this is happening. It's like the idea is like, no, when stuff is hitting the fan, that's when you need to be making these decisions.
So the timing of this stuff, this is like the whole idea of have, do, be. Do you know that one?
I can imagine it as like going down that pipeline, but go ahead.
So have, do, be is like when I have $1 million in the bank, then I'll then I'll do the things that I need to do to set my family up, and then I'll be successful.
Yeah.
Versus switching it around, which should actually be do have of I'm going to be the man I told myself I'm going to be, which will mean that I have to do the things that I'm supposed to do. And as a result of that, you'll have the things that you want. So that's when we're talking about like a lot of this identity shift stuff is we have it backwards, right? We all think that, well, if I change my environment and if I get more leads and if I do this, then my whole business is going to be good to go. But in reality, it starts with the 6 inches between your ears.
Yeah.
That's where this whole game of business, business, sports, like we had sports psychologists in college and stuff. Like I went to one for 4 years, and I remember actually 3 years.
Shout out because he actually gave my dog a what do you call that? When you
a collar?
No, when you're able to have a dog in an apartment because of the law. A service animal.
Yeah, service animal. Yeah.
Dr. B.
Yep. So with him, I remember my freshman year, it was like the mental game of sports. I sucked. Like I would show up on the pool deck. I had a lot of talent, but I was not. Like I would psych myself out. I remember I had a lot of pressure on myself, and that was shitty. And then beginning of sophomore year, I remember
you met me, and you probably.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. Maybe that'd be like a side podcast.
Yeah, that'd probably be X-rated.
Yeah. Well, we need pictures for that one. And I remember my sophomore year, the dive coach and the swim coach called me in their office and they sat me down and they said, "Look, we think that you can be great. We want you to go see Dr. Bennett, the sports psychologist." And I started going to see him, and I realized that all the problems that were happening in the world of diving, in the world of sports, we started off talking about sports, and I was like, this is stupid. Like, I don't need this. And then over the course of the next couple months, I realized it wasn't sports related that was messing me up. It went from sports to then school to then relationship to then who was Logan as a person.
Yeah.
So we went down this path, and I realized that once I got Logan as a person in check, that's when everything started coming back to the sports side of things, and it helped me out big time.
Yeah.
So then sophomore year was like first time I ever won like conferences, and then it was like off to the races from there. So the mental game of it all was big, and I think that's what a lot of people look at is right now that it's the busy season with you guys, you're getting exposed in a very, very real way, where you're getting all these people coming at you wanting you to do work for them. Well, let's just talk about the guy that said, "Hey, I'm 3 weeks out of just giving an estimate." Right now, the contracting space as a whole, what's the connotation? Like, how do homeowners view contractors?
Well, I would say there's obviously some room for improvement. I don't want to be rude, but I think there's obviously some room for improvement on the relationship between contractor and homeowner.
It's the number 2 most complained about industry behind used car salesmen.
Dang.
Yeah. So whether we like it or not, whether you're of the 98% of contractors that are great and and mean well, it's not that
loud 2%
it's not,
your ass.
Yeah, and it's not like the 2% that are like trying to rip you off that gives them the bad name. It's we're 3 weeks out to even give you an estimate.
Yeah.
Well, homeowners, like we look at that and homeowners are like, well, that's terrible. Like, why are they like people get bad? Like, it's the stupidest thing. I don't get it. But like homeowners will give contractors bad reviews of like, they were 3 weeks out of giving me an estimate 1 star. And it's like, are you serious? Like, that's like, getting mad at like giving Mercedes a bad review because they didn't have the car that you wanted on the lot and it would take them 3 weeks to ship it. Like, it's so stupid, but that's how people view it. Yeah. So we have to recognize that. And with this, all these people, because they don't have a proper system or a process of doing estimates efficiently, then Now it's 3 weeks out. That person is losing brand reputation within their area. So when stuff does slow down and they're not as booked out, they can't go back. It's tough to go back to those people and go, hey, I'm available now, because if it takes that long just to tell somebody, hey, this is how we're going to take your money, what's it going to look like to actually get the project done? It's really bad. So let's just go through some of those systems and processes and just identify it, right? So let's just say on the marketing. So because realistically, to boil business down to be very simple, you got marketing,
got sales, and you got fulfillment or operations, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So let's just start with the marketing, right? Let's talk about the marketing system here, right? You've got a couple of different ways, and most people are very reactive. And what I mean by that is they look at, well, let me see where my top lead sources are.
Well, let me take a quick pause, if
Okay.
you don't mind. This is super important. Like, I just wanted to highlight this because right now we're talking about the three pretty much main heads you have of your business and the fact of ownership of each one of them, right? Making sure, because sometimes people have no idea as to what's the next step. Is my marketing messed up? Are my sales messed up? Is my fulfillment messed up? They don't understand that being able to take care of those three things, sometimes individually, is the step that they have to take for their whole system to operate. So, I mean, I definitely want to dive into that, but I think it's so important to not just gloss over the fact that there's three main parts of your business, and you have to make sure that you can't just be a rock star in one of them and have two of them lagging behind the entire time and expect you to be successful.
So with that, like let's just go, like the proactiveness is like that's what makes the winners win.
Yeah.
And reactiveness makes, it like really shows who's faulty with what they're doing. Because a lot of people, like, I hear, oh yeah, I'm really good at customer service and all this stuff. Well, most people are really good at customer service when they have good customers. But when they have shitty customers, they're not so good. And they complain, and it's like, are you really good at good customers? Or are you just a great leader when the wind's at your back? So when it comes to marketing, let's just start off with that, because proactiveness is the name of the game with all this stuff. But when it comes to marketing, all right, instead of just looking at where the lead source is coming in and then figuring it out from there, the issue here is that let's just say Google is one of your best lead sources. Let's just say you got Google, then you got Facebook, then you got referrals, just to make it easy, right? And you're getting all these leads in from Google, but you have no idea what you're doing on Google. You just know that leads are coming in. But if you can't attribute of, hey, we're doing this content, or hey, we have this company doing Google ads, or hey, we have this, then how do you know what's actually working and what's not? Because if you can't attribute it, it's like if you automatically just started losing weight, but you didn't change your diet, you didn't change your workout routine, you didn't change anything else, you just started losing weight, wouldn't you be kind of freaked out?
Well, not only could be freaked out, but when the stuff changes a little bit. I talked to someone actually today who said, hey, yeah, things were going great, and then something changed, and they've been on a 3-week slump. They have no idea what to do next. They feel helpless because they don't have any idea of what their process looks like, what they could attribute their successes to. How can we, shift and make sure that this is still happening?
So how scary do you think? I mean, do you think they got in a business to be out of control like that?
No, 100%. I mean, they got into business to have, the independence, but they also want to be able to be in control.
So the Google stuff, if everything's coming from there, you need to understand what is actually causing that, right? Let's just say maybe your main lead source was Facebook, but you're not posting at all, right? How do you know what is working on Facebook? Because unless you're controlling the narrative, unless you're the one that's in the driver's seat, whether it's you or you hire a company to do it or you have somebody within your own staff doing it, that's what you need. So like right now, as you're crazy busy and you're doing all these projects, basic system, come up with a basic quote unquote system of, we need to post every single day on Facebook, just a picture of the project that we're on, right? So that would be something where the actual system would be, first, set a reminder in your phone of every day at 11:30, you're going to get a notification that says, hey, post on Facebook. And then at that point, step 2 is you're going to pull out your phone, whatever you're doing, you're going to take a picture of that, whatever is going on the project, and then you're going to just go ahead and upload it to Facebook. Step 3 would be the upload onto Facebook. Step 4 would be add just a basic caption of like a 2-sentence backstory. Step 5 is hit post. So now you at least have a system around sharing your work. Now, let's just say you do this every day. What's going to happen, Chris?
Well, at the very least, you're going to be out there and you're going to be top of mind of anybody who is interested in this stuff.
How hard was that system to come up with?
And it was super easy. And it's just so easy to follow the system because it's like, you don't have to worry about, oh, what day am I going to post, or what time am I going to do this? Like legitimately, if it's just, hey, simply at 11 o'clock, I'm gonna take a picture of whatever I'm doing, and then allowing people to see all parts of my business. Sometimes that's me, at the supplier. Sometimes that's me, at the actual job site. Sometimes that's me, having coffee with the guys.
So right now, if Aaron took a picture of us and posted it, and you had to come up with a 2-sentence caption, what would you say right now?
Chris and Logan on a podcast talking about exactly what's important right now, what's going on in business. We're talking about 3 factors: marketing, sales, fulfillment. Check it out. Coming out probably next week.
How hard was that?
Super easy.
Yeah. So that's all everybody works up this whole, like, I need to have like this amazing story, or they do what's even worse, which is they say nothing. They just say on a podcast. What's the backstory?
Yeah.
Who's that going to connect with? Other podcasters, maybe. Are we going to sell anything to other podcasters?
Yeah.
No. Are we here to change the lives of other podcasters?
Damn right.
Well, maybe. But yeah, so.
Well, no, we're changing their lives because they're going to recognize that, like, you have to do things the right way.
Correct. So with these systems, like, just break down the little mini facets of every aspect, of your business. And like, it's just marketing's first. Just start with marketing. If you're super busy right now and you're saying, well, I have more than enough leads, I don't need any more. Guys, this is not like, what this does is this, when you tell your story in the right way, are you going to attract more people? Yes, you are. Which part of that is, are you going to attract more high-end people? Yes, you are.
What if a contractor right now talked about how many leads they're getting, and talked about, like, hey, selfie. Hey, right now, it is April 15th. I received, 8 leads today. It's kind of getting kind of crazy because I'm having to go out to all those people's houses trying to find times for them so that we can be able to be most efficient for not only ourselves, but also our customers. What we're going to start doing is, when someone calls us, we're going to have a quick little conversation to see if we'd even be a good fit versus we having to go out there and waste their time.
So I like that. My only ask is this: let's keep it so simple, because I think that's the issue, is that once we start to give out all these tougher ones of like, oh shit, now I got to learn how to call and say that stuff. Like, just the most basic ones are like, I talked to Chris Treese today, one of our clients, and he was like, I've sold, and I hope he's cool with this, but he's like, I've sold $400,000 in the past 4 weeks. He was like, all of last year I sold 600 grand. So he sold 2/3 of his entire year last year in the past month. Excuse me. And I was talking to him, I was like, how do you feel? Do you feel overwhelmed? Like, what are you doing here? And he was like, yeah, it's all hitting me at once, and it's a lot. So what we talked about was, with the systems in the business, that's one thing, but we dialed it back. I was like, let's talk about like your like offline systems, your personal stuff. What calms you down? I was like, for me, I love like baths, calm me down big time. Going to the gym in the morning, because like my routine, if you look at like my daily routine, it's actually pretty rigid. Before work and after work, it's very structured, but it didn't start off like that. I didn't come out of the womb and say, I'm going to hit the gym every day at this time, do this workout, come home, track my stuff, eat the same breakfast, log my food. Like, I didn't come out doing that stuff. I started off small. So with all these systems and stuff, if you try to implement everything all at once, it's going to be tough. But if you start off with something, this is what my financial advisor talked to us about, but he said, when it comes to saving money, pick a dollar amount that every single month, no matter what happens in that
100%.
month, you will hit it. So like, if it's $20 a month, like, could Chris, even if in the toughest month, could you find $20 to put to the savings account?
Of course.
Right. So it's so small that even in the worst of months, you can still do it. That's the same thing with these systems. Even if life goes to shit and your business is super hard and you're so overwhelmed, it's like such a no-brainer that you can still hit it. Start off with that system, because you need to start off with that and then build the momentum from there. Yeah. But if you start off, which is what most people do, we start trying to do everything. We try to lose 20 pounds in 20 days, all at the same time of scaling a business, all at the same time of hiring and trying to start a family. And it's just like, are you serious? And all 3 of these things added together, you're now going to fail at all 3, because most entrepreneurs try to take on too much all at once.
Maybe even worse, not only just fail at all 3, you'll start to believe in your mind that these things can't work.
Yeah.
Like, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to scale your business and you're trying to, be a better partner to your, to your lover, right? So reality is you're going to think to yourself, oh, I can't be a better partner because I wasn't successful in it. Oh, I can't lose weight because, workout plans obviously don't work. Or I can't scale my business because I legitimately tried this stuff at all the same time where I didn't have a baseline system to help myself out with that. So that is, I hear all the time, digital marketing does not work. Like, what do you mean? Are you saying it doesn't work for you, or are you saying it doesn't work at all? Like, are you saying you haven't been successful? Like, I don't understand. Or you can't, there's no way you can make sure that every single time you go to someone's house, you're picking up a deposit check. Are you telling me that because you never done it, or you're saying that it can't happen? So you don't want to believe in you don't want to have all these things happening to the point that you hurt yourself by believing that these things cannot happen for you.
Yeah, because if digital, it's like, oh, you don't think digital marketing can work? Great. How do we find you? Why are you on this call with us right now? Oh, well, it only works for your business. Oh, you don't think it works for anybody else's business? Like, Chris, hey, are you good at basketball?
I'm all right.
Okay. Now, is the ROI of a basketball for you the same thing as an ROI of a basketball for LeBron James?
Hell no.
No, right? It's very different, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
They're all tools.
Yeah.
Right? Your pickup truck as a contractor is a hell of a lot, it's going to make you a lot more money than it's going to make Aaron, the video guy.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very different. It's how you use all these tools, how you use and how you set up a system around all these tools. So you've got the marketing side of start small, right? Start off with something so basic. If you're proud of your work, take a picture of it, post it.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do to start off with. And guess what? You're going to beat out 80% of contractors because I bet of everybody listening right now, 95% of them do not post consistently.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can just post once a week. And it doesn't matter. Like, I think that's the problem, that people feel like.
And what I would choose on top of that, pick the same day and the same time every week. Because if you go, well, I'm just going to do it once a week, it's going to slowly turn into, well, it's Monday. Do I have anything to post? I don't know about that. Let me just let me think about it. And what you're doing is you're now fatiguing yourself and getting tired of this, and you end up then pushing it off to Tuesday. Then Tuesday comes, same thing. So pick the same time every week and make it a non-negotiable of like, you know what? This is going to take me 30 seconds.
And that's the bare minimum. I'd be very, I know you hate Like, I know you hate when I say the word irresponsible, but the reality is, like, it is irresponsible. It is irresponsible if you're not posting, 3, 4, 5 times. Honestly, at this point, 5 times a week. You're not looking to grow. You're not looking to grow if you are not being able to post 5 times a week. If you're not legitimately spending 3 minutes a day taking a picture and putting on the internet to show people that you are top of mind, you know what you're doing. It doesn't matter what's it of. It doesn't matter if it's a project. It doesn't matter if it's you and your thought process. Have a picture of all your proposals on your desk. Have a picture of your CRM. Have a picture of your truck. Have a picture of the supplier. It does not matter.
You just need, at this point, you just need attention on you.
Yeah.
And what'll happen is when you start to do that, you look more like a brand. And you may be thinking, well, I don't want to post more because then I'll get more leads. Well, guess what? You can get more shitty leads, because if you post more and you look like a real brand, nobody goes into Tesla dealership and says, well, I've only got 10 grand. What can you guys do for me? Granted, everybody knows their prices and stuff, but they have a strong brand. It's hard to negotiate with a strong brand. It's easy to negotiate with a mom and pop store, because it's like, well, I feel more in control than they do. But in reality, when you have a brand, there's no negotiating.
That's 100% fair, because in Western culture, we do not negotiate.
Yeah.
Yeah. We negotiate car, negotiate house, and we negotiate salary. Besides that, it's just, this is how much stuff costs.
And the more that you have a brand, the more that you can put your foot down, because you're still going to have people that do probably want to negotiate, because if you think of the price points of these things that we're talking about, a car is minimum, let's say 20 grand, salary is 60 grand, a house is a few $100,000, right? And then a new kitchen is, 30, 40 grand, which falls in that same thing. And if somebody wants to negotiate, hey, look, I wish I could, I just can't.
Yeah.
And then because you have a strong brand, they're going to say, okay, cool, I still want to work with you. Didn't hurt to ask, right?
Yeah.
It's like, then you still win. So that's the whole thing, is when you have a strong brand and you create a system around just promoting your brand in a very simple way, is that going to be the end all be all to make you a millionaire? Probably not, but it's a hell of a start. And that's all this stuff is in business, right? I see a lot of people that they've been in business for 8 years, but they really had the same 1 year of business 8 times in a row. Let's jump over to sales. What's the sales system, right? Now we're going into, do you have a system around getting out proposals? Or are you like what most of our clients or the CSA people do, of we don't even write proposals or estimates. We straight up just have the conversation up front, because the issue is most contractors think that whatever areas of hesitation, whatever objections that a homeowner is going to throw at them, the proposal, if I detail it really well, it's going to mitigate any. No, it doesn't do that. Like if they're thinking
It actually invites people to nitpick you even
it's
more.
worse. Yeah. And if they're thinking 10 grand and you're at 30 grand, that's what you send out in the proposal. Sending them a proposal that's detailed is not going to make them go, wow, I thought I was going to spend 10, but because this is detailed, now I see where the money's going. I'm definitely going to spend 30. Well, the issue was that they only had maybe 15 to spend anyway, and you threw them at 30. But if you would have had a conversation with them over the phone, just have a basic understanding, or you get one of these EPP sales systems that just straight up, I mean, it's a system done for you. All you got to do is just follow it, and it's like it's structured. You'll mitigate, or you'll stop all those people that are coming in with a 10 grand budget and you're at 30 grand because you let them know up front. So essentially at that point now, if you're still doing estimates, it's anybody who is coming into your pipeline, they're ready to go. And how much more excited are you to write an estimate for somebody if you know that they know pricing?
It's momentum. It's the drive. It's it compounds off each other, because the reality is when you come into those calls motivated because you've had consistent, good, positive experiences, people weren't fighting you over your system, then now you're able to give somebody the benefit of the doubt when they ask about pricing. You don't have to beat them up and say, oh, everybody can't afford, quality. You're able to give people the benefit of the doubt when they ask a question about your process. You say, oh, like, what do you mean? Unfortunately, this is our system. Unfortunately, I wish I could, but this is our system.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to beat somebody up because when you're putting down sod and they see it just as grass, and that recognizing that it gives them the opportunity to really enjoy their outdoors, right? So it allows for you to be a better person when you're able to take care of those little small things as well.
And you can do it all up front. And when you have a system in place, and that could just be like, think about, if you're listening to this podcast and whether you do it right this very second, or if you're driving and you can't do it right now, go back and re-listen to this. But just think about your basic sales process. From the time that somebody calls you, just write it out on a piece of paper. Just say, step 1, somebody calls me. Step 2 is what? Is it have an initial consultation? Is it schedule a time to go out for an estimate? Whatever it is, right or wrong, just...
Instead of giving people, I guess, a lot of different options, we want to just tell them what it should be.
Well, let me just explain how the process goes, because if you can learn the skill of learning how to do a process, then you'll be way better off. And then we can go into the exact of this is what we've seen successful contractors do. Is that fair?
Yes, good.
Cool. So actually sit down and write out step 1, and just on a piece of paper, I do computer paper, so it's just a blank sheet, and you're just going to write down, phone call. You're going to write down the words phone call. Great. And then what happens after that? And you can say, well, let's just say the old way of schedule an estimate. Okay, great. Now next to it, write schedule an estimate. And you're going to draw an arrow from phone call to schedule an estimate. Great. Now what happens after schedule estimate? Well, I drive out there to do the estimate. Great. Now write do estimate. Okay, now draw an arrow. Okay, now what happens next? Well, then I drive back to my house. Okay, great. Now write drive back. Great. All right. Now what happens next? Well, I write up an estimate. Okay, cool. So you draw an arrow. You write it up. Next, what happens? Well, I send it out to them. Cool. Write that. Then what? Well, if they get back to me, then we do a follow-up. But if they don't, if I don't hear back from them, I reach out in a week. Okay, great. Now, reach out in a week. Okay, now if you don't hear from them, what happens then? Well, I reach out a week after that. Okay, great. So what you're doing is you've essentially just identified your entire process for selling at that point. Right or wrong, at least now it's on paper, which means that, and trust me, once you do this, you'll feel so much better, because it's like, you get it out of your head, and now you're able to visualize it. And that's when you can really start to go, well, where are the discrepancies? Where are the issues? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? How can I get better? But if you don't identify the actual steps of this, how can you ever create a system or a process if you don't even know what system or process you should be creating? So how can you optimize your current system or process if you never actually even identified the steps within it? I mean, how does, think about Ford. That dude created an assembly line, but if he didn't actually map out step 1 of building a car is this, step 2 is this, step 3 is that, how could he ever build an assembly line and then figure out how to make it more efficient without building it first?
I think that when you draw that out like that, you're now able to see where you're breaking down as well. If you can say to yourself, okay, well, I got so many people, I called them or they called me and they, I went out to their home, but this is where everybody's stopping. This is where everything's stopping. So how do I get people to go this these 20 people that are at this stage of the pipeline, this stage in my process, how do I get them to go to the next step? You maybe figure out, hey, there's something else that I can do. So you can fix those small things. Hey, when I provide a little bit of content to them in between, it increases their likelihood of doing this. Or, hey, maybe, you can find attribution as to why your system is stopping where it's at if you draw out that process.
And I love that because it's almost like creating like a funnel, because what you may see is that, let's say you have at the end of this whole thing, you have 10 sales. Well, if you go all the way back to the beginning and you had 12 initial phone calls, well, 10 sales of 12 phone calls, pretty good. So what do we do from there? We then make sure, how do we go from 12 phone calls up to 30 phone calls to get more sales? But maybe you had 10 sales out of 120 phone calls, right? Well, now we're going, okay, well, what's going on? Like, what are the squeeze points here? Because where are the drop-offs happening? Are the drop-offs happening from the initial call to the scheduling of the consultation? Is it happening after the consultation? Is it happening after I send out the first proposal? Like, you'll actually, if you actually put numbers at each step of like how many people are in that current pipeline, or if you like audit 50 leads in a row, you'll start to see where the drop-offs are, and then you can create a way to get better at that exact step. But essentially what you're doing is, most people try to create everything all at once and optimize all at once, versus just saying, let's just get a bunch of at-bats and little by little optimize each step of the process, because you can't get to step 5 without starting off and making sure that step 1 is good to go.
Yep, you get to little micro systems in between.
So let's talk about how they should be doing a sales process.
Well, I mean, obviously I'm biased, right? But I know,
but you're biased in a good way.
Yeah,
like this is not like, well, I'm a health coach, or a trainer, so obviously I'm biased towards not, wanting obesity. But it's like, yeah, like that makes sense. Like, I don't think it's biased. I think it's just like, you're factually like, this fucking just makes sense.
Yeah. So straight up, when someone calls you, when someone emails you, when someone does any way to reach out to you, the first step should be, they should be driven back to your website.
Why?
Because that's going to do all the pre-qualification for you. All right. It's also going to give you opportunity to secure their information. It's also going to give you a great starting point and being able to know exactly what they do and do not know. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and send them back to my website. So if that's very much simply a text with a URL link back to my get a quote form, if that is
nope, just keep it simple. One idea. So what's the way to get them back to the website?
Well, one idea is, I guess it depends on how they're coming in, right? So if they're coming,
phone call, referral, email, text.
No. What I'm saying is they're all coming in. I'm going to get them back to my website. They're getting back to my get a quote form. So all roads will lead back to my website.
And here's why I'm saying keep it one thing, because if you say, well, if you want to like call them back, or if you want to email them back, depending on how it is, if you keep it simple, or if you can try to get everybody in one way.
Gotcha.
Like, just like, they send you an email and go, hey, great, I'll shoot you, and the homeowner puts their phone number in there, then you text them back. Or if they call you, you answer the phone and say, hey, let me text you. It's, however it is, if you just keep it the same, like, let's just say you text them a link to your website, that makes it easier for you, because if you're starting to try to create different ways to get them into this quote unquote funnel, then it's going to be tougher. So pick one medium.
Well, I think what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to utilize whatever system they're doing. So if they email me, well, the answer is I'm going to email them back a link to my website.
See,
if they text me, I'm going to go ahead and text them back a link to my website. If they call me, I'm going to go ahead and tell them, hey, hop on my website. And also, this number I can text, great. Maybe I'll text them that website as well.
See, I would, no matter what they did, if they shot me an email, I would say, hey, let me, I'm going to shoot you back. I'm going to text you a link. However, you got to figure this out.
That's what I'm saying. If they emailed you,
I know it's a little bit more awkward, but right now, if what you're saying, Chris, and if you're saying like, however they do it, like get them back there no matter what, but like this is the same idea of, well, however you're gonna get leads, whether it's door knocking or Facebook or this or that, pick one medium.
Well, I'm asking,
just stick with it.
I got you. Well, my asking is this: if someone emails you, all right, so all you have is their email. Someone emails you, how do you get back to your website?
Well, so yes, so naturally it would be easier to do an email.
Not just naturally. I'm saying, but how do you do it? What's if someone emails you, how do you get them back to your website?
So if they email me and they have their phone number in the email, because most people have that in their signature of an email signature.
I would say that business people do. I would say the average Joe does not. The average Joe does not have their email. I mean, they may, but if they do, if it's available, great. But what I'm saying is, if someone emails you, And let's imagine this is
I guess unless they're emailing me from like their Hello Kitty email, but like most of the time that I get an email, even like with Audrey, like Audrey's not a business owner, but like she always has her phone number and emails.
but she's a corporate person. So I'm saying
but so are most homeowners. Most homeowners who can afford this stuff are going to be that high end white collar people. So they're going to typically have it. But either way, like
No,
we're getting into schematics. But essentially, all I'm trying to say here is if you start to try to do different ways of operating this process or system, if you keep it as simple as possible, where it's just like, I'm going to send, maybe it is email.
That's what I'm saying. I think the simple thing is everybody goes back to the website. It does not matter how we get there, but I'm not saying you have to reinvent the wheel, but it's simply, if you text me, hey, thanks for the text, do me a favor, fill out my get a quote form. If you email me, thanks for the email, do me a favor, fill out my get a quote form. If you call me, hey, thanks for the call, do me a favor, do my get a quote form. So it does not matter as far as like their medium of choice that they're choosing, because if someone calls me, I don't know, do I have to say, hey, give me your email so I can send you over this email? If they text me, hey, give me your email so I can send you over, like, I want to make it as easy as possible for that customer as well.
And I get that. All I'm saying is right now, to create a system, limit the amount of variables in it.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's all I'm trying to say. If you're somebody that you know damn well that however they come in, you can get them back to the same place, the same starting place, then do it over the phone, do it via text, do it via email. But if you're going to be someone that this is your first time ever trying to do a system, pick one medium and stick with it.
Gotcha.
So if they text them back, say, great, I'm going to email you over a link. Please.
What's your email?
What's your email? Phone call, same thing. So however that is, just to get you yourself into a process of it. So now you have that. And then from there, you can optimize. But yeah, so.
All right. So they get back to your website. They fill out your get a quote form. All right. So after they fill out the get a quote form. All right. I would imagine if you have a couple of core services on your get a quote form, they're going to be able to indicate what they're looking for. Either if it's going to be
So hold on. Let's talk about that. So are you texting them a link to the get a quote form?
Yes.
Why that versus going like, I mean, if you have one of our stuff, like why not just send them back to the homepage where it says get started here and it walks them through everything?
Because the fact is I'm doing it in my mind. It's going to be as simple as possible for them. So
I got you. Okay, cool. I got you.
Okay. So they're going to fill out hey, so part of our process, thanks so much for giving me a call. We'd love for you to do X, Y, and Z with you. I'm gonna go ahead and send you a link for a get a quote form. They fill out that get a quote form. That sounds absolutely great. Once they fill out that get a quote form, I have an idea now of what they're looking for. All right. So on that get a quote form in our system, they're sending over pictures. In your system, I have no idea, in someone else's system, I have no idea what they're doing. But right. So in our system, sending over pictures, and maybe they're looking for a bathroom. All right, great. So the next step would be then I'm now sending them over. Thanks so much for sending over your get a quote form. We've received it. Communication. So you can see some of our work and even get an idea of our pricing. Click the link below, and so you can be able to see the stuff. We're also going to schedule a time that works best for you. So now they're going to be able to go straight to that bathroom page on your website. So they're going straight to that bathroom page. I know they're getting all the emotion, seeing your process, and I've even prompted them to letting them know that there's going to be pricing on the site. So they're already going to say, oh, I got an idea of what this stuff's going to cost. All right, boom. Now the next step is not only helping them out because I've given them some value, but I also now know that at the very least, they're at least to this portion of my process. I now give them a call. All right, I give them a call. We go through their pictures. Great. All right. I asked them at that time, does it make sense for us to hop on our website? Yep, it sure does. So you can see if it even makes sense for us to go forward. After they do that, then I'm going to show them some of the work that I've done. Doing that visually allows them to say the things that they like, the things that they don't like, things that they would potentially change about the project or whatever it may be. And I'm writing down notes on that, and that gives them a great opportunity to express themselves. All right. After that, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to give them a recap of what exactly we're talking about. Yep. We're on the same page. All right. Then I'm going to ask them on while we're still on the website, on that same form on that same page they've already seen before, I'm going to ask them to go ahead and scroll down to that pricing section. All right. And then I'm now going to ask them what part of the range they feel like they fall in. I'm not going to ask them, I'm not going to tell them, it costs this amount of money. I'm just going to ask them what kind of range, because then they're having to tell themselves now I fall in this range. This is how much this stuff costs. You know what? We're kind of looking for basic, or maybe we're looking for high end, or maybe we're kind of between that high end and average. All right. After that, all right, now they're on that part of the process where they know the pricing. And then I'm now going to ask them now to go ahead and click on that small little button so they can show more of our process.
So you obviously know the process. Repeat that back in very like high level terms. Because what you just did was you just described how it all lays out visually. But if somebody's never seen this before, they're going to go like, what? What do you mean price? Like pricing.
Gotcha. Okay. Your sales system. All right. If you have a website, you're wrong. All right. If you have a website for your company and you're a contractor and you're worrying about your sales process and not being able to, dealing with all these leads, it's because you have a website. All right. A website itself is just a glorified brochure. If you have words that say, we do X, Y, and Z, we're so proud of whatever we do at X, Y, and Z company, we provide whatever it may be. You are becoming the hero of your own story. And that is wrong. I challenge you right now to go to any website of a big name brand. Let's go to Disney first and foremost. Go to Disney and see how it's laid out differently. All right. So you should not have just a website. You need to have a sales tool that's in a digital space. All right. So on that sales tools in a digital space, what you're going to have is you're going to have an EPP layout. EPP stands for emotion, process, and price. Emotion shows, first of all, we all buy from emotion. We can argue that back and forth, and I love to talk about that, but we recognize that we all buy from emotion. It's an emotional buy. All right. Your process allows people to recognize that you are a leader in your space. All right. You have a process. It's clearly laid out. And then lastly, pricing. If you are telling me, or you're thinking to yourself, I cannot do this because I'm too specific, or all my jobs are too, too unique, too custom, then you are failing to realize that people are looking for an idea of what this stuff costs. You are hoping they have an idea of what this stuff costs. Well, those are two things that we can take care of. And why don't we get in front of it? Because if someone is not willing to pay your pricing, why are you spending time with them? Also, people get frustrated not knowing what pricing is. They feel like they may potentially be taken advantage of. And right now, like you just talked about earlier, contractors are the second most, if they have the second worst rep, versus how their salespeople approach their consumer than, used car salesmen, right? So if that's clearly first and foremost. After you do that, after you take care of having an EPP system, now you have a platform that can do a lot of this stuff for you. The first thing you do is you send people back to your website. No matter what medium they contact you by, you're going to send people back to your website. You're going to send them back to your get a quote form, because you're going to prompt them to let them know that in order to work with you, the first step is for them to send over some pictures so they can work with you and they can tell a little bit of information about themselves. As soon as you receive that, you then now want to go ahead and say, be proactive. If this person's looking for a bathroom, a kitchen, an addition.
Just a heads up, I would do it the opposite. I would do it whatever they want. Hey, I want to get a quote on a bathroom. Great. I'm going to send them the bathroom page because I want them to emotionally go through it. I want them to understand the process, and I want them to understand the pricing before they fill out the quote. Because then otherwise, what if they do that and then they fill out a quote and then they see that the bathroom is $50,000 and they wanted to spend $5,000?
That's totally fair. I would say that if they maybe you ask them, hey, what are you guys looking to get? That's a great question, right? Yeah. So if they email you and said, hey, we're looking to get a bathroom done.
Yeah, I think most homeowners will do that. Will just say, hey, like they don't just say like a general, like, hey, I want to get a quote on some work. It's like, hey, I want to get a quote on blank.
Yep. So if they're doing that, then I think that's absolutely amazing. Then go ahead and send them over that picture to that certain page, because now it's a tailored process for them. They feel like it's tailored for them.
Yep.
All right. Let them know, hey, you'll be able to, I'm going to send you over this page. On that page, you'll be able to fill out the get a quote form. All right. And then also let them know on that page, they're going to be able to see the idea of pricing as well. So now they're reaching out to you. I mean, that even takes down even less people who are not your ideal customer.
Right.
All right. Then after they do that, you're now going to have a situation where you're going to call them back. You're going to already have their pictures. You're going to already have an idea of what they're looking for.
And what kind of pictures are we getting?
We're getting pictures of their existing situation.
Why is that important?
Because, well, one, people are taking, I mean, it compounds off of itself. One, taking a picture of what's going on. So we can both visually see what's going on before I get to the person's home. I don't have to walk through the thresholds of your door to know what's in your world. So, right, you're taking pictures of that. Two, I imagine if I'm taking pictures of this ugly bathroom that I'm tired of seeing, That's going to have some type of emotional trigger that I'm about to put that, oh gosh, I gotta send that over to somebody.
It's embarrassing, right?
It's very embarrassing. It's very embarrassing. After I've now sent over those pictures, I'm getting a phone call back from the contractor. All right. They're calling me back and they're walking me through what's going on in this situation. Hey, I can see it and you can see it. What's going on with these pictures? Oh, hey, I'm dealing with this. I'm dealing with that. Okay, great. What are you guys looking to kind of take care of? How long you been dealing with it? All those different, emotional, motive, scope type questions. All right. Then you're going to now ask them to transition over to your website to see if it makes sense to show you some of the work that you do and to see if it would still be a good fit. They're going to say yes. All right. Doesn't matter if they're going on the phone or they're going on a computer. And that's why your sales system should be, compatible with both the phone layout and also a computer. So now you're going through that. You're walking through it on your own website. They're walking through it on their own, on their own computer, whatever it may be. And you're going to see the same stuff. You're going to walk them through some of the work that you guys done, and they're going to see it. Oh, I like that. Ask them for their gut reaction. Ask them what they like, what they would change.
So essentially, just to give a high level overview of this is when the pre-qualification happens, where you just have an overall conversation, but essentially you're just asking a handful of basic questions, right? You don't have to go and hard close them, but essentially the sales system's all laid out for you where, you can essentially just, even if you just say, hey, do me a favor, read that paragraph.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? And then, so it's all laid out already. It's kind of like a pitch deck or a sales pitch deck where, a lot of these big software companies, they have a 9-point PowerPoint slide. And essentially it wasn't created by the sales rep. It was created by like the freaking like director of sales and marketing, because they know these are what customers look for. These are what they want to see. So all you have to do is just guide somebody through it and just walk them down and just essentially say, scroll down a little bit, stop, scroll down a little bit, stop. So it's meant to guide them through it and that will handle all the talking for you because it's a visual thing. So essentially you're trying to go through this pre-qualification together just to double check, because if they've already seen, which they should at this point, why you do what you do, what your basic process is, what your pricing looks like, and then they still said, okay, cool, let me fill out the contact form and get a hold of them. Well, that they're a really hot lead at that point, and then you just walk through one more time over the phone just to essentially double check that when they think that they have a small project, it actually is a small project. They say, well, I see that you start at 40 grand, which is perfect because I want to spend 40 grand, but their kitchen's actually 3 times the size of your 40 grand and they're at 120 grand. That's when you can have that conversation, because you don't want to go out to their house and they're thinking 40 grand when in reality they have like the Taj Mahal of kitchens and you're stuck. So you're going to walk through it one more time, do a little bit more pre-qualifying, but you're not going to have to be a sales assassin or amazing at this stuff. If you want to get really good at this stuff, which everybody should, that's where the CSA comes in. But you let all this stuff just do a lot of the talking for you. So essentially, by the time you do go out for that quote unquote in-home estimate, it's not even an in-home estimate. It's just a logistical situation where you just go out there, you shake some hands, you kiss some babies, you collect your deposit check, you get them on the schedule, and you're done. You walk out of there. So it's really meant to be a system it's proven over and over and over again, saves a ton of time, which, that's one of the resources in this world that we can never get back. If that's like the only one that we can't get back. It makes a lot more money because it positions you as a brand. So all these people that are saying like, well, I'm 3 weeks booked out of just estimates. It's like, wow, what if you just sent everybody back so you don't lose your brand reputation? People are not going to get mad at you because your prices are high. Some people will, but they suck. But most people, they're going to get really mad at you because it's taking you 3 weeks to get them an estimate, not because you had upfront honest pricing on your, EPP sales tool, your website. They're not going to get mad at that. They're going to respect that. And they're going to go, wow, that's more than I wanted to spend. And guess what? How much time did you have to waste on them?
The 30 seconds that you reached out to them.
And that's all it is. I think Chris and I argued about what medium to send it back over to. We spent more time arguing about that than it would take for you just to tell them what to do. So it's like, it's that simple. And I know a lot of people think it's too good to be true, which is, it is what it is, but it's a proven system. And that's a big system right there, because that's straight up that's your sales system. That's your basic sales system. You don't have to go through crazy amounts of like training and stuff like that. It's meant to be simple. And that's like your starting point for stuff. Then once you want to get really good, or you want to like learn how to do this stuff on your own. Like that's CSA is amazing. That's where we learned all this stuff.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know, so it's like all these things compound on each other. And then from there, let's just go one more fulfillment, right? Let's say you have a pain in the ass client. Most people that say, oh, I need a better contract because I'm dealing with these terrible homeowners, or, oh, I'm having employee issues. Well, like everything that happens on a process standpoint, all that stuff can be fixed by working with the right clients every time at the right margins. Because if you work with your perfect clients every time, which means that they love you, most of them are just gonna be like, hey, do whatever you want. You know, like there's certain, like I hear stuff of like, yeah, like it's good money, but like they're total, like such they're so nitpicky and they're so detail oriented. Well, I know for us over here, we're not. So if somebody's like very nitpicky with stuff, we'll just tell them, hey, we're not the right fit. Even if the money's right, we're not the right fit for you. And that's cool because that's our boundary. But that allows us to operate in our zone of genius. Plus, we love coming into work because if we work with nitpicky people, nobody likes that.
yeah.
Even nitpicky people don't like working with nitpicky people. So if you're always working with the right type of people, you won't have all these issues in the field, you know? And when you do have to say, well, I need to hire somebody new, you know, that's one of the issues is a lot of contractors, they love to add more bodies in to make up for inefficiencies. But in reality, it's not a lack of efficiency. I'm sorry, it's not a lack of manpower. Sometimes it is, but it's usually just a lack of process. Right? Like I can't tell you the amount of times like I would watch this with other companies where they would show up to the job site and they would forget stuff at, you know, they had to like then leave the job site to go to Home Depot or to go back to the shop or this or that. And that could take a few hours. Well, a few hours each day, if you don't have your stuff down, yeah, of course you're gonna need somebody else to step in. But now you're paying double instead of just spending a little bit of time up front to make sure you have all the right tools or all the right materials that you need for the job one time. So if you're working for the right people, you can mitigate a lot of those issues with having to hire a bunch of bodies, right? Because you're not going to have nitpicky people and you're not going to have to deal with the frustration of working with those people because you've essentially eliminated them up front. And it all comes down to what are your boundaries? If you're not a nitpicky person and you don't want to deal with those, then just make that very obvious. And you'll find the people that don't really care about all the super in-depth details. And then you'll love life. They'll love working with you because you have the same personality. And you're good. But the issue is that all the problems are stemming from attracting and then working with the wrong type of clients. And unfortunately, everybody does it to themselves. They take on work that they shouldn't be taking on because they say, well, this will feed my guys, or well, this will be the last one. And it's like, you're like a fucking junkie to try to like, it's like the girls that say, oh, I know he's a bad boy, but I can change him. And it's like, that's what you're doing to your clients. You're trying to like say, I know that they're a pain in the butt, but the money's good. And I'm sure I put out a post one day and it said like, as a business, you are the average of your 5 vendors that you work closest with. So if you're a business owner and you're trying to work with the cheapest people out there, well, you're also going to be one of the cheapest people. And somebody commented and said, that's false. I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, you can always make systems and processes around how to work with them. And I'm like, wait, so you're essentially okay with working with lower end people. And then now you have to change up how you operate efficiently just to get by with them.
Yeah.
Like you probably spend more time in wasted labor and wasted effort. And you spend a bunch more money on that stuff too, just to save a few bucks here and there. I mean, that's why a lot of people, when it comes to marketing companies, they hire one and they say it doesn't work because they hired a really shitty one.
Yeah, they're paying $50 a month, $300 a month, expecting to get the world.
Which is like having somebody say like, yeah, I don't get why this client sucked. They paid $5,000 and they want a full, remodel, and then they got burned and now they're coming to me. It's like, yeah, like it's just unrealistic. Like I get that everything's got a cost associated with it, but like most of the stuff, if it feels too good to be true, it is too good to be true. And if you're a business owner, align yourself with businesses that are crushing it. If you're aligning yourself like with one of these mom and pop shops, that aren't good running their own business, you think that they suck at running their own business, but they're really good at whatever service they provide? Probably not.
Yeah, and it's not the fact of being a mom and pop shop. It's about the fact that they're how they operate as a business.
Sorry, yeah, I don't mean it that way. I don't mean as like, don't go with a local business. Like what I just mean is it's like, let's say like there's a reason that you go to Home Depot to buy stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're going to Rick and he's selling wood out of his garage, like, and then, some of the wood's not good, well, that's going to be on you because you're the one that decided to go to some random dude's garage that may or may not have just gotten the wood, like it's crazy, but think about it. Like if you are going to people that you're like, man, I don't know how they operate their business like that, but I'm going to keep going back to them, or you're going to start to become like them. So if you align yourself with winners, personal life and professionally, you're good. So understand that stuff, that if people have shitty processes and these businesses around you have shitty processes, your processes are also going to be like that because you're so used to chaos and you're so used to like seeing how they run stuff that you feel a little bit better about yourself.
You accept it.
You accept it. I mean, I used to, like, I remember in diving, like I never wanted to watch the diver in front of me because if they were to belly flop, well, then if I don't belly flop, but I go in really poorly, but I didn't belly flop, they're going to get zeros. I'm going to probably get a 3. And in my mind, I'm like, well, at least I didn't belly flop, but a 3 is terrible. So I don't watch the person in front of me. I let them do whatever they're going to do because I don't want to be influenced by that, because if I see that they did really shitty, then I'm going to go, wow, okay, well, all I got to do is beat that, no problem. And if all I have to do is barely beat that, well, then that's like one step above a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
So if you start to see what all these other contractors around you are doing and they're like, yeah, everybody's like $500, well, then, I'm going to be better than them. I'm going to charge $600. Well, you're still losing money. You just lost $100 less. So these systems, these processes, guys, the first big step here, just identify them. Take some time, think about this stuff. Identify one for marketing, one for sales, and one for fulfillment. Fulfillment's an easier one. Let's just say like how to like, I don't know, load up the truck every day. My dad's company, they had a system every day of like going through how to load up the truck. For example, like the guys would all show up at 8:30 on the dot at my dad's house because he used to operate out of the garage. And then the two foremen, Andrew and Mike, would say, guys, these are exactly what we need for the day. And they had like a checklist on the wall there of all the materials that they had in the shop, because the last thing that you want to do is get out to the job site and go, oh, did somebody bring the pump?
Yeah.
So they would have all the stuff there. So they would run down it and look line by line and go, do we have the pumps on there? Yes, we do. Do we have this on there? Yes, we do. Do we have this on there? Yes, we do. And that's how you operationally make this stuff happen. So start off with that. Something simple of like, just how do you get out the door every day and what does that look like? And if you start off with one system in marketing, one system in sales, one system in the actual fulfillment side of things, they will snowball off each other. It's not going to, make you a billionaire, but it's like if you're trying to lose weight, if you just come up with a max number of calories that you want to eat each day, that's so easy that you're like, oh, I'm not going to go above 3,000. Well, it's better than nothing. And that will snowball onto the next.
100%.
You good with all that?
I'm good.
All right, guys. So here's part of our system. Ready for step 1? Join the Facebook group. That's like the theme that we're talking about recently is systems, processes, because realistically, if you had these things set up in your business, you would be freaking golden.
Yep.
Your business is rocking. Your personal life is rocking. It's just like, it's a good feeling to feel in control. And right now, everybody's struggling because they feel out of control. And unfortunately, they're waiting until the quote unquote off season. But we're in like this uncharted territory as far as like timeline and seasons go. We don't know when the off season is. And on top of that, you need to stop the bleeding now, because if you just keep burying yourself into this hole more and more and more, like this is the perfect time to set this stuff up. This is the perfect time to figure this stuff out, because now you're stress testing it. But if you spend the whole off season trying to, everybody's got to plan it until they get hit in the mouth. And this is the perfect time to do all this stuff. I can't tell you how many people that like come to us and they're like in the off season, hey, I'm ready to get started. It's like, okay, great. We need some photos. Oh, I don't have any photos. Okay, cool. Like, when do you want to do it? Well, let's wait. So it's like you continuously push stuff off because it's like this, well, I'll lose weight next week. Why don't you start now?
It's always a good time to do the right thing right now. I mean, but it's never going to be a good time to do it as far in the sense of going to be the right time.
It's never perfect.
Yeah, never perfect.
When's the perfect time to get engaged or have a baby or, go to Disney World?
Yeah.
So it's always going to be different. So join the Facebook group, Common Sense Contracting. We'll see you guys in there. We'll keep this discussion going over there. Chris, thanks for joining me today. As always, see you guys.